is of the 47th President of the United States. Unprecedented comeback in American politics, only the second president to come back after losing a first term in office. Viewers, this is a point of inflection in America's history, a vote for change, as Elon Musk, one of the closest allies of President Trump, seems to suggest. Trump himself believes that that victory margin is going to actually increase and that he will end up getting about 315 electoral votes. Viewers, he's also leading for the first time in all his presidential runs the popular vote, which tells you that this is an overwhelming landslide in favor of Donald Trump, and that perhaps the divisions in American society that were supposed to be roughly 50-50, if you went by the exit polls, aren't quite pronounced. In fact, viewers, a number of minorities, especially Latino men, have voted by a 16% greater margin than they have ever done before for Donald Trump. He is also leading in 7 of the 7 swing states, and that is an absolutely stellar statistic because it tells you just how off base the exit polls as well as the opinion polls were once again in another major election in a major democracy. In India, they were completely off the mark. This was not supposed to be the result. We were in fact in for the long haul. We were being told that for about 2 days there might be no clarity on the outcome because this election is going to go down to the wire and every vote will have to be counted meticulously to determine who actually won. But that is not what has quite happened. It hasn't turned out that way. Many people, viewers, are already talking up this election as a victory for one nation conservatism, a kind of outlook that we are familiar with here in India under Prime Minister Modi. President Trump describes this as a victory as he would for the MAGA movement, viewers, and he also credits in large parts his choice of running mate. J.D. Vance, who wrote, of course, the Hillbilly Elegies a few years ago, which also was turned into a major motion picture that talked really about the issues that Trump built his campaign on over the last 8 to 10 years. Those are pictures still of some elements of the Trump campaign. Those viewers are obviously of the first family now as we see it. The president extremely complimentary of his wife and of his family, who said have gone through hell and back in the last 8 years, have been ripped apart by the establishment. That was the only time, viewers, when Mr. Trump sounded a little critical of those he thought were thwarting his attempt at winning office. Otherwise, his message was without rancor. He stressed on unity. He also said that the time has come to let the divisions of the past behind and unite to make America great again. He believes that his work is cut out, and he's already outlined in his campaign what his emphasis is going to be. He reiterated that in his speech. Let me go across to Washington, D.C. and Sanjay Suri. Of course, Sanjay Suri, thank you very much for joining us from Washington, D.C. It's very late into the night, but obviously that was expected. What wasn't expected was the clarity of the mandate. Over to you.
Well, quite right. All the polls have been telling us that it's been on knife edge, and they're right in a limited sense that in the results we're getting in the swing states, we are seeing that the Republicans are leading in all of them. They have Pennsylvania, the critical one, and that's the one that absolutely delivers the presidency to whoever wins it. And this is just past 50% in these swing states. But uniformly they're going the Republican way or have gone the Republican way, and there is no division within these swing states. So the knife edge didn't quite turn out to be the knife edge. Also, consider that and I was in Pennsylvania a good deal, and there was a great deal of effort put in by the Democrats. They really went all out. They had thousands of people knocking on doors, but clearly knocking on doors does not, for that reason, deliver a vote. The vote was delivered, and it did not go the Democrat way. So clearly we are seeing a result that has been along expected lines, of course, in the non-swings states, so to speak, but in the others that were expected to be a very, very close finish, we are seeing a close finish, but also a clear finish. The clear advantage now is in the direction of the Republicans, and so we have the election called, and we've heard from Trump.
Yeah, at least one of two houses is now delivered also to the Republicans. That's important. The Senate, the Republicans get a majority in the Senate, and that changes a lot of things. Of course, lots of decisions will be made which will impact the way US politics is structured, US governance is structured, the Supreme Court, and of course nominations to key posts. Now, Sanjay Suri, before we get into all of that, I just want you to explain to us, how is it that this victory came together in the manner that it has come together? Because most people did not assume that Trump would carry the popular vote. He hadn't done so against Clinton, he didn't do so against Biden, but here he seems to be carrying the popular vote, which suggests that there is a larger constituency out there, maybe even a growing one for the Democratic candidate here, and who is now, of course, the 47th President of the United States. Sanjay Suri.
You know, there are certain blocks that were perhaps expected to vote en masse for Trump. That didn't quite happen. The one issue that we heard more than any other by way of a vote block was the women vote, the gender vote. It was considered that the women are going to be solidly behind Kamala Harris, and that is the men who are going to be for Trump. That clearly was always an oversimplification, but an oversimplification of what people thought was a discernible trend. Again, to an extent we have seen that, but extraordinarily, the number of votes among women voters, according to trends so far, according to the numbers we have so far, is still more for Harris, but critically less than the number of women who voted for Joe Biden and the Democrats under him. I believe the number that is being suggested is that 57% of women voted for the Democrats under Biden, 53% now have voted for the Democrats under Harris. And this is when gender really has been made the prime issue. The Roe v. Wade case has been much spoken about, abortion rights have been much spoken about. So the women vote has not quite delivered for Harris to the extent anticipated, to the extent certainly claimed, and relative even to the last election in 2020. Now that certainly is contrary to the popular belief. Also, we do know that there are a number of males who have delivered their vote for the Republicans, and that includes a very sizable number also among the minorities. Again, it was not the case that the overwhelming minority vote will go the Democrat way, which it traditionally has done. So there were certain assumptions made, certain predictions made by the pundits, and these have turned out to be a little bit off the point, and certainly off the results that we've seen.
Well, I'm sure the Harris campaign is going to introspect. We're going to cut back across to CNN now to get an insight into how they're interpreting the Trump speech there.